So we just saw Fast 7, but we're thinking back now with the whole franchise, and where do you rank all of the films? Clearly, we think Fast 7 is up there.
Yes.
We both have agreed on that. But where do you rank all 7 of these films, or how do you rank them?
I think from best to worst,
Okay.
from fast to slowest, I would go Fast 5,
Right.
Furious 7,
Yep.
Fast and Furious 1,
Okay.
Fast and Furious, which would be 4,
Four.
Fast and Furious 6,
Okay.
Fast and Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious,
Yes.
and then
Tokyo-
controversially, I would put last Fast and Furious: Tokyo Drift. What about you?
Which has gotten a weird cult audience. Everybody
Yes.
kind of hated Tokyo Drift, but then as these movies caught on, now you get a lot of people who go, no, I love Tokyo Drift.
Yes.
And it's like, where were you when Tokyo Drift came out and everyone hated it, which
Right.
is weird. I think I'm with you, Fast 5, number 1.
Yes.
I think everybody can agree on that. Then I would probably say Furious 7, number 2.
Okay.
I would go Fast and Furious 6 in the number 3 spot.
All right.
I'm going to shake it up. Then the original, The Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
Then I'm going to go Fast and Furious 4.
4. It's
Then
very
I'll
difficult to do this.
Then I'll
with
do Tokyo
the
Drift.
same names.
And then Too Fast, Too Furious as my least favorite.
Did we get them all in there?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm going 5, 7, 6, 1, 4, 2, 3.
Oh, that is 7.
Or 3, 2. At the end, to me, I don't know that I have a Too Fast, Too Furious and Tokyo Drift, even though they're very dissimilar movies. To me, enjoyment level are about the same. They're on par.
As you said, there are some Fast and Furious diehards, which we should have a name for the Fast and Furious fans.
You know, you're right.
Fastians.
No.
No?
Fastians. Yeah, they don't have a
doesn't
name.
have a cutesy fandom.
You know what?
name.
I'll bet they do, and we just don't know.
But who's bigger fans than us? If we don't know it, we need to come up with one.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
think about that.
That's an entirely new discussion.
But a lot of them, not us, as you said, they really think that 3 is like the unheralded masterpiece of the franchise. And let me tell you why I disagree.
Yeah.
To me, the Fast and Furious franchise is about a couple of key things. Obviously, the action, the car stunts, that's a big part. But the other part to me has always been the very intense, melodramatic, sometimes homoerotic relationship between Vin Diesel and Paul Walker. Their love, their bromance, their very tense relationship in all of its complexity and beauty. And to me, you can't really have a great Fast and Furious movie without those two halves. So Too Fast, Too Furious is missing Vin Diesel, and I love where Tyrese went in the franchise, eventually becoming the comic relief.
Right.
Why do I smell baby oil?
You keep running your pie hole, you're gonna smell an ass kicking.
He's great in the new one, but in the beginning he's just kind of he's a poor man's Vin Diesel, and he just doesn't have the soul that Vin Diesel brings. So you're missing him, and then number 3 doesn't have either one except for that little cameo at the very end,
right.
which that doesn't count. So that's to me the big problem. Is Lucas Black is a very poor man's Paul Walker, and in the beginning Tyrese was kind of a poor man's Vin Diesel, and it's the yin and the yang. You need both halves to create a beautiful whole, and that's what those two movies fundamentally lack.
They did a pretty remarkable job of retconning the franchise after Tokyo Drift kind of took, it really kind of went off into a different direction.
Right.
But then they sort of had to bring it all back by doing this sort of inverted time loop where 3 was taking place at a different time, and the events of 3 we're now seeing in
3
7.
takes place after 4, 5, and 6, and part of 7.
Right. So they did a pretty good job of making up for that. But you're right. I mean, I feel like after 2, they were like, this franchise is kind of over anyway.
Right.
Our 2 stars don't want to be in these movies anymore, so let's just kind of throw this little sort of spin-off, sidequel out there.
Yeah, it was a last gasp. It was almost like a straight-to-video movie, it feels like, because it
Yeah.
has nothing to do except for that last little bit with the other movies, and it just... Yeah, it was an attempt to sort of, I guess, just extend that brand, that name. Whatever it had left, they were trying to milk it. It is kind of crazy that now we're 4 movies past it, and the franchise is bigger now than it ever has been. The other contentious one in the list is number 4.
Yeah.
The hardcore fans, the Fastians, they don't like 4, but I do.
It shows enough promise to me that I include it a little higher up. I know a lot of people aren't hot on it, and it's weird because it's very much in the template of a Fast 5, Fast and Furious
Yes.
6, just not as good. but at least it's moving in the right direction. It's got a lot of the parts. You can see Justin Lin sort of maturing as a director. It's getting there. It's not perfect, but I think it's better than Too Fast, Too Furious. I mean, you have all the sort of elements. They're just not, they're not coming to a boil yet.
The fans that I've talked to about it, they all say like, oh, it's dull, it's boring. You hear that a lot, it's boring, which given the things that happen in that movie,
It's hard to say that.
Hard to say it's boring to me. I mean, the one thing I would agree with that a lot of the naysayers do explain about it is that it's the chases aren't quite as good. There's a lot of CGI. There's that whole under the ground driving, which looks like it was all done in a computer, which is admittedly is not very good. And it isn't as fun and poppy as the later ones. Like Fast 5 and 6 get really kind of silly, and Fast and Furious is a little darker. I kind of like it because of that, though. It feels like it's almost like John Woo made a Fast and Furious movie because there's all this talk about, what's the difference between a cop and a criminal? Oh, one tough decision, and the end takes place in a church. All you're waiting for is like two doves to fly out.
Right.
And it really, it is kind of like the Fast and Furious is The Killer, because Vin Diesel and Paul Walker are like working together. They're on different sides of the law, but they have a begrudging respect for each other, and it is very melodramatic. I like that about it. Some people
not
may disagree.
So much. But we both agree that Fast 5 is
the pinnacle.
Is the best of the bunch.
With Fast 7 not far behind.
What did Fast 5 do so right that it is the top and the undisputed champion of the movies?
I think that was just the one where everything came together in terms of they had started with 3 and then with 4, starting to build this weird, incredibly complex universe of characters.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where they all came together, and you realize that, yes, all of these movies that have been sort of connected are all taking place together. 2, 3, 4, like all the characters kind of come together, and it becomes a ridiculous, it's almost like Ocean's 11.
Right.
Where it's like a bunch of race car drivers pulling off an Ocean's 11 heist. That's just so absurd that it's kind of wonderful. And the addition of The Rock being really fun is a big plus as well.
It's nice to have them have a really good foil, and The Rock is that in that movie. Who can match Vin Diesel's screen presence? Only The Rock. I mean, when you get then you're waiting. The whole movie is sort of like the sexual tension of getting the two of them together in the same room. And when it finally happens, it's this amazing sort of fight that in some of the other movies you see there are these big fights, but they always cut away. There's two fights happening at once. So they'll show Vin Diesel and The Rock fighting up against Luke Evans and that big German henchman guy. But then they'll cut from that to another fight of Michelle Rodriguez and Gina Carano, and they're kind of splitting back and forth. With that fight between The Rock and Vin Diesel, they just let that play out for about 3 minutes, and it's just the two of them barreling through walls and knocking the crap out of each other. And that's really what you're there for at some point. It's all about car chases too, but I mean, that fight and seeing these two titans of industry kind of collide with each other, it was great. It was. I think they'll come close. I think they'll always have a hard time topping Fast 5, no matter how many more of these they continue to make.
All right, so we ran down our favorite movies, our least favorite. We ranked the whole franchise. What about like your favorite, do you have a favorite scene, action scene, favorite set piece from the whole franchise?
I really do love that fight. I mean, if we're talking about, there's also something kind of that I love about the scene in 6 when the tank is going down the highway and there's a bridge and they're just destroying all these cars, and the body count must be 75 people perish because they're just running over pedestrians and people in their cars. But then when Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez each get catapulted up over the bridge, and he catches her midair, spins, and lands on his back on a car, and then they both get up and they're like, "Are you all right? Everything okay?" Well, that to me just kind of encapsulates the sort of that they're able to do something that is so patently ridiculous.
Yeah.
In a movie where these are just humans, these aren't superheroes theoretically, and pull it off in a way that you cheer instead of rolling your eyes is, to me, I think just is almost peak Fast and Furious.
The scene towards the end of the very first movie with the truck chase, which goes badly, and one of the characters is dangling off the truck. Looking back at that scene really holds up as like an awesome. They did most of that practically. There's real people hanging off real trucks that are traveling really fast.
Wait, so Vin Diesel didn't really catapult himself across? That wasn't a real thing? That didn't? Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I take that back. I recant all my previous
Sorry to
statements.
shatter your illusion. So like that scene holds up really well, and it's It's pretty great. I would say though that I don't know. I think the new one, that scene with the jumping from one building to another, is pretty great because it
Yeah.
has a lot of moving parts that all kind of fit together. You have the fight between Michelle Rodriguez and Ronda Rousey that's going on.
Yeah.
You have the jumping of the cars. Jason Statham is shooting a grenade launcher. It's really outrageous, but also super, super exciting.
Yeah.
And it does kind of hit all the bullets. You got fighting, you have chasing, you have shooting. Everything is working together. It's sort of a really satisfying scene. So I might give that one the edge. But I don't how they're going to top that one. I don't know.
I feel like we say that at the end of every Fast movie. We go, I don't know how they're going to top that, and then somehow they keep.
They're gonna be
making it
driving in outer
bigger.
space in the next one.
Well, there you go. Fast and Furious 8, outer space.
I would be excited.
I think we all would be. How could you not at this point?
We would be excited and not furious.
Unfurious.
We would be unfurious.
Fast. Not unfurious.
7.
That could have gone on for
Hours. Who's on first? All right.